to Finnegan Begin Again, episode 1, the beginning. Yes, my name is Eric, and I'm going to be taking a journey with you, hopefully, on the restoration of Finnegan, which is a 1939 Ford Standard Coupe that I recently acquired, and I'm going to experience the restoration of a car for the first time in my life. This is a restoration. It's not a remodel. It's not a hot rod. I'm going to take it back as close to what Henry Ford would have produced in 1939 with some safety features to make it safe for the road and my kids, and some things, some tweaks that are going to make it a little bit more gutsy, a little more sounding better. Things that slight improvements but ultimately from the outside of the vehicle, I want it to look like what came from the factory. So what I want to do with this channel ultimately is restore a vehicle at the speed of my bank account. I have a full-time job. I'm happy with it. I'm not going to quit it just to do this, but ultimately, I want to document the journey along the way and the mistakes I'm going to make. Hopefully it's entertaining because I'm going to be probably saying a lot of stupid things. I'm probably going to be guessing at a lot of things, but I am researching. I have spent a while researching the 39 Ford and the Ford Flathead and the history of the Fords since 32 to make myself somewhat knowledgeable. And what's nice about these is they're pretty simple cars, so it's not like I'm dealing with fuel injection or serious electrical work, which when we get to electrical, that should be entertaining because electricity and me, I don't get it at all. But hopefully I can follow a standard wire diagram. So I'm gonna jump now to the explanation of the car. This is not a barn find. I would say it's a barn sale. The gentleman who sold it to me, Mr. Mitchell, knew we had the car and he always intended to restore it, but life happens and he ended up selling it to me. It was under a carport in the back of the property when I got it, so it's kind of a barn find, but it's not like it was lost. So I'm going to be doing, hopefully in the future, I want to do a interview with Mr. Mitchell, who is the second owner. So I am the third owner of a 1939 vehicle. He bought it in 1969 and then just sold it to me in 2021. So it's kind of nice to know that the provenance of the vehicle is very short. So if I want to go back and find that original owner, I think I might have the keys to find out who he is. It's just a matter of will the government release that information. So with that, I would like to show the video of when we brought the car out of the carport. So it's a sunny day here in the Pacific Northwest for the winter. That's a pretty nice change from what we normally have. But here is Finnegan. We're naming him Finnegan, and we're gonna call it short, you know, Finn, you know, so cars Finn. We name all of our vehicles, you know. Here we have our Kia Carnival, which we call Bailey. See if you can figure that one out. There is my truck. His name is Bart, which stands for a big red truck. Figure out what the A is. And this is my little fun car. This is Wilhelm. But we're here to talk about Finn. So, like I said, 1939 Ford Standard Coupe. Was originally black. We are going to, as I said, try and keep it as original as possible, but being that these things don't have body plates in 1939, back then they didn't put those on there. There's really no evidence to say that it truly was black, but you know, I know it was black, but I don't want a black car. I want to paint it Dartmouth green, which is one of the original colors in 1939. And it's a really nice shade of green, and I think green goes with the name Finnegan. So, it's a pretty good starting point. The car, it was, when I purchased it, Mr. Mitchell had, back in the 80s, sold the original engine and transmission, but that was okay because I already had an engine. Still kind of looking for a transmission, but I think I've got inroads to those. All worked out great in that because he was really concerned when he was selling it. He was making a point, like, it doesn't have the engine and transmission, and he was really sad that he had done it. But I told him, no worries, I already have an engine. So, 1939, they only made a 5-window coupe. There is no 3-window coupe. Inside, I think is a special little thing about this one is it's not a business coupe, in that the business coupe would have had a solid back seat all the way across here. But this one has the split seat. And at least in 1940, I'll have to look into 1939, but in 1940, if these had the split seats, that meant that there were jump seats in the back. And, you know, having 2 small boys with a third on the way, yep, 3 sons, how lucky me. We are gonna, you know, would like to travel around in this thing, so it'd be nice to put a little bench seat back there or something. So that is one of the little things that might make it, you know, not original. Here on the inside, some of the things that have changed over the years that I don't have the answers to, but it is a 1939, and there are ways to tell that it's 1939. This is a 1938 dashboard, though. I have a 1939 in the trunk there. You'll probably be able to see it when I go back and open the trunk. But, you know, things happen over the years. Don't know why things change, but I know that this is a 1939. 1, when we get to the trunk, I'll show you there. 2, I know it has hydraulic brakes, which were new in 1939. So I do have a 39 dash. We're going to replace it. All of the original trim in here was chrome plated. At least some of it looks like it's plated because it's flaking off. And others was stainless steel, I believe. So I think that the chrome got done. I don't know the history on that. But either way, I'm going to take off any of that plating, sand it down, and I'm going to have it faux wood trimmed, as well as the dashboard and all the stuff in here. I just like the elegance of that faux wood, which in 39 for a standard would have been a mahogany, which is just beautiful, with the green that's going to be in the outside of the car, and then the nice light tan that we're going to be having inside. One of the original upholstery options that you can get from the many dealers out there in stuff. One great thing about restoring an old Ford is that there is just so much in the way of resources out there. They're just so popular, and there's stuff all over the place that you can buy. So this is basically a core of a car. It doesn't have any interior pieces. All the glass is going to need to be replaced. You can see that it's delaminated here. That one's fine. The driver's side is fine. This one delaminated. The rear view mirror crack needs to be replaced. Delaminated glass here, there, both back windows, but it's flat glass, and resources show that it's not terribly expensive to replace, which is great. I'm going to keep this steering wheel. I'm going to do some research into how to get that plastic material on the outside. It's currently wrapped in electrical tape, but how to get that plastic restored. I'd like to keep the original wheel if possible. I do not want the deluxe wheel. One, this is not a deluxe, and two, I kind of like this old black one, just kind of simple and everything. We are going to be trying to get all of the gauges to work if they don't already. There's some extra gauges down there that probably took the place of broken ones. Obviously, this car has not run in a very, very long time. So I want to try and get as much of the original stuff working. It did not come with a radio. This one did not come with a radio, and I don't plan to put an actual radio in here. But I do know that there are some products out there that are under dash mounted, so you can actually like Bluetooth connect and have speakers and stuff in here. So we will have a sound system, more than just a beautiful sound of a flathead V8 engine. This is covered probably in the 50s, I would think, based off of the look of the vinyl and the coloring and stuff. But underneath it, you can see, like here, if you peel it away, you can see that the original upholstery is actually underneath there. You can see better over on the driver's side. So I'm, holding off, being very patient. I really want to get underneath there and see what that original upholstery looks like, just so I know what the original upholstery was for this one. Mr. Mitchell did tell me that this is the original seat for the vehicle. I don't think we're gonna go with that pattern. We've kind of already picked out what we want, but still it would be nice to know what originally came into it. Ultimately, this is going to be our car. It is not going to be going to any kind of concours d'elegance, anything like that. It's just going to be our really nicely restored Ford Coupe that is ours. So, and with that, I've yet to debate if you're liking and following this. Please, in the comments, give me your opinion. I know I want to do Dartmouth green. I'm doing a green car. But the question is, should I add a little pearl to it? Just a little something, to make the car sparkle just a little bit. Nothing over the top, nothing too trendy, anything like that. So there is a little bit of body work to do. Both of these fenders are replacement fenders. You can see that at some point somebody had the numbers on them. I do know that the vehicle was originally the 85 horsepower V8 that came in it. Of course, Ford loved to throw V8 everywhere. The other option would have been a 60 horsepower, the economy version. Which is great because, I'm hoping when I redo the engine that it's going to be hopefully about 100 horsepower. This is the original wheel that came with it, but that tire does not hold air at all. So I replaced it with another one, and I need a spare anyway. So now I've got a nice spare wide 5 wheel. Very little body rust, which is really nice. According to Mr. Mitchell, he had it in the garage most of the time as he owned it. He also did restore other vehicles that he successfully did. I don't know why he never got around to this one, but the fact of the matter is he didn't. But he did keep it in a garage, which is nice. Obviously, there's something happened here, some late patch that didn't get fixed very pretty, but we'll take care of that. And unfortunately, though, the last 5 years, Mr. Mitchell has been since he's been in his care home, he had the car at his daughter's house, and it was under a carport out back, and just the very back tail end of it was sitting out in the rain. And so there's a little bit of rust. So down here, you can see that there's some rust right at that edge, and there's a hole. You can see where the light is and everything. So there is going to be some pan replacement. I'm planning to get the whole body blasted and get all of this tar and all the insulation stuff out so that I can truly assess what needs to be replaced and fixed. Oh, there's the front bumper right there. And those are the original plates that he had it license to when he brought it back to Washington. And then here's my spare block. We'll get to that in a minute. But one of the ways that I know that this is a 1939 is this trunk here. The trunk for a 1938 was inset. And on the 39, it's more of a clamshell. It sits over top. So I know that this is a 39 body. And, you know, I've got lots of spare pieces, parts back here. Some of these things that came in here. And a lot of it isn't actually from a 39. I don't think any of those hubcaps are from a 1939, but there's the headlights, more of the trim there, a bunch of the underflow panels. There's some pieces that do not belong to this car. The dashboard, you can kind of see the glove box of the dashboard there. I'm not going to dig anything out right now. But lots of spare pieces in there. Rear bumpers back there. But everything on the car is pretty good. The roof, no rust. There is some surface rust and some surface, you know, roughness here and there and everywhere. And the only spot, of course, you know, this little rain gutter here gets full of stuff. And on the other side, there's a little spot of rust that's gone through. So that's going to be an interesting replacement. Hopefully I can do it from the inside. Obviously no interior panels, but I have found the resources to replace those. Had at least one steel footwell plate. Originally it would have come with wood, but yeah, so that's the interior of the car. And then the hood is not currently attached, but you know, all you'll be seeing is an empty engine bay. There is the only rust that I found in here is the typical spot where the battery sat and some of the acid got out and leaked away, but that is a separate panel that I can separate and buy on its own and weld into place. These are some things that I've really never done. I have never really welded. When I have, I suck really badly at it, so I'm going to be practicing. And electrical stuff, you know, I can do some basic wiring. Never done metal work, never done body work, never done a lot of these things, but we're gonna learn. We're gonna learn and hopefully provide some entertainment. But ultimately, I'm doing this project with my boys. I have two sons right now that are 5 and 3. And they want to turn wrenches. So what better way to start turning wrenches than working on an old car, right? Here we have the engine. So I originally purchased that engine block. And I was just gonna get an engine. I was just gonna get an engine to start turning wrenches with my boys. But when I took that engine apart, so I still have a lot of pieces apart. It was basically a complete engine. When I took it apart down to the block, and I took the block over to the machine shop, and the man who sold it to me knew that there was a crack in it. And that crack, I think, the crack is right here. You can see that shiny spot. Goes from this intake valve into the cylinder. And while I'm sure you could sleeve it or whatever, the machine shop was very honest with me. And I appreciate that about them, because, you know, you can always trust your machinist. It's always a good thing. And they said, you know, this isn't a special block. There's nothing valuable about it. You know, you could probably just pick up another one that doesn't have that problem rather than spending exorbitant amount of money re-sleeving it or trying to get it fixed. Especially not taking it to, you know, a specialist who will remelt it and fix the crack itself. But just so happened that there was a man in the machine shop that said, hey, you need a flathead? I've got one that doesn't have any cracks, already been Magnaflux and everything. And I said, well, how much are you asking for it? I said, $100. I said, sure, it's sold. Yeah. So that's that block. Now, this one though, it's really good to have because I'm practicing. First step that I'll be taking with you guys on this journey is porting the engine. So you can see that I've been practicing here. This was a very new technology, or a new thing being done by Henry Ford, casting a V8 block in one piece. And with that, there's a bunch of casting flash and everything, so it makes these surfaces kind of sharp and rough surfaces. So one, not having done a whole lot of stuff, I decided I was going to practice with the tool and the burrs and everything on these outsides first to see how the machine worked. And you know, it's nice and smooth. It's cool. It's easy enough. Trying to round off everything, make it look nice and smooth. And then worked myself into the insides. So here is an intake port that I've worked on. It's not completely done, just practice. And then on the other side was a outlet port that I've worked on. So of course I have the reference materials, and if you're interested, I'll let you know what reference materials I'm using. But ultimately, I was not about to start working for the first time on my recently machined block. I'm very thankful to have this practice block on. You know, in the future, if I want to do a supercharged flathead V8, I've always got, you know, a starting point. I can get that crack sleeved or fixed or however, or just go get another block. Flatheads seem to be a dime a dozen. You know, getting rarer as time goes by, but you know, so there's the spare engine block, and sure we'll be seeing that in the future. But the current engine block that has been machined and everything is right here. So it's been bored 30 thousandths over. It has had the cam ground to a 77 Bravo, which is a little bit more aggressive than stock. You know, I want to have a little bit more lift and to get as much of the engine out as possible without making it a hot rod. Cleaned and ready to go. All I have to do is port it, and then I'm going to take it back to the machine shop, and they're going to deck the surfaces to make sure they're perfectly flat, and at that point I can start reassembly. I did have all of the rotating machinery, the crank here, flywheel, clutch, and pistons. I had everything balanced, so everything is balanced and ready to go. Just need to do my work porting, send it back decked. They'll clean it and bake it and make sure all of the fine metal particles are out of it, so we don't get anything in the brand new bearings and ruin all of that stuff. And that is the plan with the engine. So, well, the continuing plan with the engine is I am going to get new Edelbrock heads, aluminum heads, and I'm going to get a Edelbrock V-sling intake manifold to run dual carburetors. So under the hood, going to have a little bit more power, something that you can actually take on the highway and be comfortable with. Hopefully 100 horsepower. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's not a super heavy car, you know, and it was perfectly fine back in the day. And also, when you're driving around an old classic car, people just kind of give you respect. You know, they give you a little bit of leeway, and people like to see these things. So they forgive you if you're going slow, right? Let's hope that's the case when I get out on the highway eventually. So this is the wall of storage here, including some paints and, you know, yard stuff. But ultimately, the car wasn't absolutely complete when I purchased it from Mr. Mitchell. These panels were missing. These are the side grills, the side hood pieces, which you can tell this is for 1939 because it's got the shepherd's hook, candy cane, whatever you want to call it. But I did find these, wonderful Craigslist. It's amazing how much stuff you can get from Minnesota on Craigslist for a flathead V8. Don't know why it is about Minnesota, but there we go. Most of the chrome Mr. Mitchell did have under his bed, so I was able to get a bunch of the chrome from him, chrome trim. The only pieces I was missing were the little itty bitty pieces that go right here, but I have replaced those. I do have those now. And up top, I've got gasket sets, random pieces, parts that I know were missing that I've been able to find on either eBay or Craigslist or something. In this box is a brand new steering shaft. Got the dual horns there. We're gonna get those out, get them all cleaned, and my wife has the most beautiful soprano voice. We're gonna make sure that it is a beautiful chord that is in tune, because being a very, very good singer, she is also very sensitive to out of tune. You should see it when my kids play the ukulele. I think it physically hurts her, but that's okay. Got some apron pans underneath. You can see where the crank would go through to crank the engine, because I believe 39 was the last year that Ford had the ability to hand crank the engine over, which great. First year for hydraulic brakes, last year for hand crank. So change of an era, right? Like I said, all of those boxes got lots of spare things. We are going to be doing some mix and match with the engine. Both of my blocks are 1940 blocks, so they would have the diver's helmet distributor, but I'm going to be going with one of the late 40s distributors. They're just easy to work on, and it's kind of what mine came with. So I did get a replacement plate to do that, and I think it's going to be easier to deal with as well. Had to go get an engine hoist, which it's great. There's so many resources out there. I work in a very industrial area, so a lot of guys have hobbies, and some of them are getting older and want to get rid of stuff. So I got an engine hoist for a really good deal. I got a engine stand that the spare block is on for a really good deal. You know, it's a really good looking car. Oh, I want to show you the other bit of rust in the tail panel. Kind of a typical spot. Also, you can see that big hole down there. That's from, you know, this is the tool, where the tools were stored and everything. So there's a piece of wood that comes over and lays flat, so you have a flat surface there. But underneath there, obviously, that's just like a little bathtub, fills up with water, and then you get some rust. We don't normally have a whole lot of rust up here in Washington because we don't salt our roads, but you know, anything sitting out in the wet for a really long time, it's, you know, it's just gonna happen. But the nice thing is, original provenance of the car is from Arizona, so for all of that time that it was down there, you know, no salt, no rain, you know, it's always nice to get a car from California, Arizona, New Mexico, all of those southern dry places. So I want to get into why I'm doing this channel. Ultimately, my goal here is to document the journey for my boys. I have some guys at work that have told me that the best memories that they have with their dad are restoring an old car with them. And we have the opportunity, and I would like that when they leave to go to college or leave home to get their jobs, they always have YouTube, because I think YouTube will be around for a while, and they can always go back and watch this journey together, share with their friends and show what they did, and something that they can be proud of, and also hopefully give them some life skills that they can take with them as well. You know how to change your own tire, know how to change your own oil. In this case, know how to fix your own engine, you know. Not that they're going to be taking this, or either of them are going to be taking this car, but skills for the future. I think a lot of kids these days are lacking in some of those. They've got some pretty good virtual gaming skills, but real life skills, not so much. I thank my father for that. You know, by the way, my father is very excited about this. I grew up with a dad who is very much into muscle cars, El Caminos, Chevelles, mostly GM. I'm more of a Ford guy, but he forgives me for that. When he was just up for Christmas, he was excited. He was hoping we were going to do something on the car, but it was pretty cold and snowy, and unheated garage, it really wasn't a good place for us to be and working on a car, plus we were only going to do brakes or something, so that can wait. And he's going to be up soon when we get the new grandson, so I'm sure we'll have a job that he can do or help with when he gets back up here. So I grew up with him. I can tell you anything about muscle cars. I can point out to the road, I can say, oh, Cuda, ooh, Mustang. I can tell you any year Mustang, like a lot of people can. But what surprised me when I started thinking about it is I never actually worked on cars with my dad. And I really kind of regret that, because that's a lot of skills that he could have passed on to me. That's a lot of things I could learn right now that would be helpful in actually doing this. But I never did, you know? guess I was more interested in school and all of that good stuff. But I want to have that for my boys. They're very, very interested in engines, and how that happened was COVID. You know, during COVID, we all got kind of sedentary, or most of us, especially me. Was laying on the bed watching YouTube and just started watching engine rebuilds. I really like to watch Haggerty's Redline rebuilds with David. I think it's just a lot of fun how he does his program, and the end result when they do it in fast speed. I love the cinematography they do for that, and my oldest just really loved it. He sat down next to me and just started watching it, and he would say to me, "Daddy, can we watch another one? Can we watch another engine video?" And I said, we should just get our own simple little engine. Let's get a Ford flathead and let's just build it, you know, a little project that we could do. And then the younger one got into it too. So I was like, well, you know, what better way to teach a kid to turn wrenches and learn mechanical skills than by doing it, you know? So we're going to redo this engine together, and they're probably going to provide a lot of hilarity with that, because my youngest, he has a very curious mind. I hope you guys get to see that. He makes us laugh a lot. But so got the engine. We went and got the engine. We found it on Facebook Marketplace, and it was nearby, and went and bought it and started tearing it apart. And he was immediately there, like wanting to turn and clean and do all these things. And I have to get over the desire for him not to get oily. I just have this terrible fear that he's going to start like putting oily hands everywhere. I don't know. I'm not a neat freak, but I just don't want my kids getting oil everywhere and dirt and grease and grime. But we're gonna do it. We're gonna let them get greasy. Yeah, that should be entertaining as well. Just don't eat anything. 3-year-old, don't eat anything. Yeah, so when I got the engine, all of my friends, everybody at work saying, well, what are you going to put that engine in? I said, well, that's not the plan. We're just going to do the engine. We're going to put a little engine stand, just have a running engine, let them learn how an engine works, you know? And then lo and behold, Facebook Marketplace, the wonderful gift that is, on pops this. And I'm very lucky that Mr. Mitchell picked me. There was a lot of interest in the car. I think that he picked me because I told him I was looking for a car to redo with my sons. And he also, I think he liked the story that I'm gonna restore it and not hot rod it, because I think that's what he wanted to do. So I want to restore this car with my boys so that they have that experience. They get those skills, they have that time with me, because we don't get a lot of time together with them starting school and me going to work and all that, so it can be our thing. My background, I do have 2 degrees in engineering, nuclear engineering. So I can tell you how a neutron passes through material without interacting, but I cannot tell you electricals. I don't understand electricity. It is black magic and hand waving to me. You know, the people that understand electricity are a special person. I don't get it. Like I said, I can do basic stuff. But so I have somewhat of a very specialized mechanical engineering background, and I work as an engineer. But I don't have any experience. So this is going to be a fun journey, and I get my information primarily. I have books. I have the Van Pelt books. I have the Vern Tarden books, just any of those references that are out there, the Green Bible, all of I've just been gathering information as much as I possibly can and inundating myself with it, because I am one of those people that I want to understand how something works. Because if you don't understand how it works, and you can't tell somebody else how it works, then you really don't understand it yourself. And especially with a vehicle that required so much owner responsibility for taking care of it, I need to know that if I'm out with my kids and something goes wrong, do I have a spare set of points? Do I have all this stuff? Do I know how to replace that? And can I do it out on the road? Because I don't want to have it towed. You know, that's a failure to have your car towed, but you know, sometimes it happens. So the next steps for this car, like I said, we're going to be doing the engine work. We're going to get the engine running. I'm going to be porting the engine, and then we'll start assembling it. I do have a couple of pieces to get still. My heads have been ordered, but with all the supply chain issues and everything, you know, as much as they say it was in stock, it's on a 3 to 4 week back order. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means in 3 or 4 weeks I'm on another 3 or 4 week back order. I have no idea, but I actually want they don't make them anymore, so I'm trying to find a stock of them. The Edelbrock black powder coated heads and intake manifold. And they're wonderful. I'm gonna have the engine original green and then have those black powder coated parts on top, and it's going to be really, really nice if I can find it. If I can't, I'm going with the unpowder coated ones because I still like the equipment. That's the next step for what you're going to be seeing with me. And in the meantime, I hope that you like what I'm doing. This is video 1. As I get more comfortable with the media, I hope to be a little less and ah and looking away, you know, stay focused, you know. This is what camera work is, right? So I hope you do like, I hope you subscribe. If you subscribe, it's gonna help me be motivated to actually do it, because I've got people that I'm responsible to, you know, as well as the documentation for my children, you know, having that complete thing. But, you know, some people start a project and then they stall. So keep me honest here. So like, subscribe, I'll get the car done. I'll lose some weight, hopefully, because I don't want to be on camera and be overweight. I am not a big man, and I should not be as much as I weigh. And I'm sure everybody has that story. The excuse is COVID, but honestly, the excuse is how much food I'm putting in my mouth. So I hope you've enjoyed what I'm doing here, and I hope you've liked this video. If you do, please like, and do provide me with input if you've got opinions on color of the car, if you've got opinion on converting from 6-volt to 12-volt, any of those things. If you have experience, I am a person that loves to take anybody's suggestion based on experience. And opinion is good too, but experience is usually the best. So let me know in the comments, and I hope you guys have a great day.